Hello students, and welcome to the final video of this lesson. In this video, we're going to begin looking at how to use the formulas that we derived in our last video and actually use them to actually find volume when we're trying to answer that in-free response question. So let's get started. So in this question, we know that region R is bounded by two functions, sine of pi x and y equals x cubed minus 4x. So I know that my sinusoid is going to be this one, so this is sine of pi x, and then we have x cubed minus 4x right there. So we want to find the volume the solids formed when the cross sections are changing. Now that's not a specific free response question, but there's going to be good practice from what we've done in our previous video about deriving these formulas. So in this first part, we know that the cross sections are equilateral triangles. So that's going to be up here. So if you haven't watched that previous video, equilateral triangles, that's going to be this function right here. So we're going to use that. And so we're going to say v equals the square root of 3 over 4, which is what we've shown and proved in our earlier video. Now, what are our bounds going to be? Well, in order to figure out where these boundaries are, well, we can see here that they're going from 0 and here to 2. And of course, if we didn't know that information, what I would do is I would set my functions equal to each other. Now, in this case, since everything gets squared, we need my upper function minus my lower function. Well, my upper function is sine of pi x, so I'm going to have in these braces sine of pi x minus my lower function, which is going to be x cubed plus 4x. Of course, since I distribute that negative across everything, that's why that becomes a plus 4x. This all gets squared and then dx. Now, usually these type of questions show up in calculator questions, so I have my calculator ready, and I'm just going to add a calculator here. And what I'm going to do is just type in everything. And when I get everything out, I'm going to put in my final answer is 4.3207. So equals 4.3207. What I notice a lot of students end up doing is that they don't spend the time to actually memorize these formulas or how we can derive these formulas and get the concept behind it. So either you need to do one of those two things, understand the concepts of how we get these shapes and how we get the formulas for these shapes, or which is going to be better, or you memorize what the formulas are for the equilateral triangles, the isosceles right triangles, things like that. So let's go ahead and do our next question where we have, when we know the cross sections are semicircles. So we know that the volume, and we're just going to grab this up here, that we have semicircles, which is pi over 8 from A to B. So then that's going to be pi over 8. And we're going to get the integral from 0 to 2. That hasn't changed here. And then my upper function minus my lower function. So sine of pi x minus x cubed plus 4x. And then it all gets squared again, dx. So again, we're going to just type this into the calculator and figure out what the volume is when the cross sections are semicircles.
Only got one chance and got one life to live, and it's do or die, gotta make it count. So lose your worries, let your problems go on until my whole body.
Okay, and my final answer in this case comes out to be 3.9185. So this is going to be equal to 3.9185. So now I'm going to speed up the video. The next two questions, C and D, are going to be the exact same thing. Look up your formulas, get them down, and then write out what are the cross sections for isosceles right triangles and what is the volume of the cross sections are squares. So I'll see you in a bit.
Fake friends. I just wanna get high, just wanna get high, just wanna get higher. Sometimes people will try to hold you back from being who you want to. Don't be questioning why, do whatever feels right, find your passion and fight. Cause we only got one chance and got one life to live.
Okay, so I've got both of those completed on the calculator. So our first one, we got V equals to 4.9892, and when the cross sections were squared, I got 9.9783. Now we're going to look through these last two questions together because we know what the cross sections are going to be. and what it's being stated in a verbal term. So the cross sections are rectangles whose height is twice the length of the base. So let's look at a rectangle here where I've got, that's a rectangle, and we've got our f of x minus g of x. So the upper minus the lower function. It's all rising up from how sine pi x over our other function is coming out here. F of x minus g of x, like that. So what I need to do first is I need to write out, okay, what is the area of this going to be? Well, that's going to be 2, or base times height, so 2 times f of x minus g of x all squared, because f of x minus g of x gets repeated. So if I want to find this integral, well, that's volume going to equal to 2 times from 0 to 2 of the area, which is going to be f of x minus g of x all squared. So what you want to do is put that into your calculator, and you should get something that comes out very close to 19.957. Now, in a similar vein, in our last question, when we know that the cross sections are going to be rectangles whose height is 1/3 the length of the base, so something like this. So we have our base here, again, f of x minus g of x, and we know that the height is going to be 1/3 of that, f of x minus g of x. So in terms of the area here, well, we know that the area is going to be 1/3 times f of x minus g of x all squared. So what is the volume going to be? Well, the volume is going to be 1/3. Then we're going to have the integral from 0 to 2. And I have sine of pi x minus x cubed plus 4x all squared dx, which is what I really should have written in this area over here. But since we already knew what the upper and the lower functions were, and when I put all of that into the calculator, you should get something close to 3.326 for that volume. And you can see how the volume changes as the shape changes and as how we describe the shape. So that's going to be the very final lesson. It's going to be one more homework assignment for you to practice finding volume when you know the cross sections. Don't forget how to find volume when we're rotating about an axis. Of course, if you do need help in this video, please reach out to me. I'm Mr. Hernandez, and this is Mr. Hernandez Teaches.